Please explain why predictive homeopathy is so successful. You already cured a lot of heavy pathologies like aphasia, coma, blindness. What makes this success?
See, let me address the first part of the question first. When you said predictive homeopathy is not something different. It is the same Hahnemannian homeopathy. I had to give it a name, predictive, only to emphasize that what Hahnemann meant by homeopathy was a science of therapeutics which was mathematical and predictable. So when and if you practice homeopathy in the right manner, correctly, you get invariably excellent results and predictable results. And that is exactly why I call it predictive homeopathy. So homeopathy is predictive and predictable if practiced correctly. Now, Hahnemann, in his theory of chronic diseases, in the initial introduction he has mentioned that if this science is practiced very correctly, following all my rules and regulations which I have set into this in Organon, then the results will be infinite. Infinite is the word he has used for the suffering humanity. Now what do you mean by infinite? Infinite, see, I'm sure Hahnemann was not using any word loosely. He has really meant, what he has really meant by infinite is that whenever and wherever the scopes of the illness or the disease seems impossible, he says, there homeopathy has got a scope. So wherever the limit of allopathic or other sciences ends, homeopathy begins. So it's such a wonderful science which Hahnemann has gifted to us. All these years we have been just going about only curing coughs and colds and diarrheas and dysenteries, or at the most some schizophrenias or sleeplessness, and very sporadic cases of terminal cases which you observe here and there. But if this science is used absolutely according to what he has taught us in Organon, then the results are phenomenal, and that is exactly what I started seeing when I started following Hahnemann and his Organon very strictly. Now what do you mean by strictly? In the first place, when Hahnemann introduced this science, he introduced this therapeutic science as a science which was different than all other medical or therapeutic sciences. No other therapeutic science is same as homeopathy. Not just because we have got some diluted medicines and dynamized medicines, etc., just because that he has laid down a law of disappearance of diseases. So he insists that all the diseases, have to disappear according to a certain law, from more important organ to less important, from above downwards, from center to periphery, etc., etc. And in reverse order of appearance, yes, we know that. It is also called as Hering's law. Unfortunately, because we are at different levels of evolution or evolving, all homeopaths are evolving gradually. Even I have evolved over the last 35 years. Now, in this evolution, when I was at the base, I never saw any law of cures. Later on, I started seeing them, but sporadically. And I used to maintain that, okay, you can't see in all cases the law of cure. But as I went on getting mature and evolved, and I started following Hahnemann's Organon very strictly, then I realized that each and every case, whether it is acute or whether it is chronic, has to be cured in a certain direction, and that law of cure is inevitable. It has to be there, provided you practice it completely on the grounds which he has promised. And this is what I've been doing it for the last few years, and I found fantastic results. The second point where our predictive homeopaths are differing from many other homeopaths is strict following of miasms as explained according to allopathic, you should not say allopathic understanding, but the understanding of modern sciences or modern principles. That every miasm is nothing but a defense mechanism at the genetic level is very obvious, and if we really want to cure very, very advanced destructive cases, we have to return the person back from destructive defense mechanism, which is called as syphilis, to construction or even to physiological soul. These are these cases. I mean, this trend which we see in predictive homeopaths, insisting on the reversal of this thing, has made them more predictable and more sure in their work, and this has enhanced the results in infinite diseases or incurable or impossible diseases. Because when I saw this, that we can return or reverse the whole process, I started using the same principles in the genetically mutated cases, newborn cases, and we have seen the results which I've shown you. And they are not one or two sporadic, but they are consistent. That's why homeopathy is a science which was not really meant for ordinary cases like cough, cold, or itching, or eruptions and warts and whatnot, or only to control diarrhea, or only to control blood pressures, or only to control thyroid, etc., which allopathy also can do it. But it is supposed to be, homeopathy is supposed to be invented by any man to give eyesight to the blind, hearing to the deaf, speech to the mute, intelligence to the dull and the mental retarded, and legs to the lame. And that is the scope of real homeopathy. And when you're practicing correctly, we call it predictive homeopathy.